community. Mike, if you want to kind of start.
Mic check, 1, 2. I think there's some issues here because I cannot hear plan A. I'll try and rejoin. I'll try and rejoin.
Yep, I know. Yeah, for me it's a little crackly, but you know, decent, not too bad. How's everybody?
Not bad at all. Not bad at all. And to everyone, you link across to everyone. So I'm going to mute from my end. Can I hand over to you to, you know, if you could start engaging, and just need to just give me a couple of minutes. Okay, Mike, you're back. Great. Okay. So, okay, give me a minute.
Yeah, I see. Yes, yes. I can hear you.
That's life in the fast lane.
It seems like that's
life.
It seems like having issues is the normal, as opposed to everything running smoothly. Yeah, I don't guess anybody from the Eros team is going to be on here, is there? Kind of curious. There's been any? I haven't seen any public announcements, but I've heard report. I haven't checked myself, but people are saying that their TitanX has been returned to them.
I was actually, I wrote a message to RD. I'm going to ask him if he can join here. He did send me some updates. I'm going to share it a bit later, but let me just ask him if he would like to join.
Yeah, I think that would be great, as opposed to us speculating on anything, what's going on.
Are you suggesting that people in crypto speculate? Really? My goodness.
Yeah.
It happens. I guess it's happened once or twice in the past.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with speculating. I'm just saying if we can get some more absolute truth, I think that beats out speculation.
Horse's mouth and all that type of thing.
So, hey everyone. So I think we're all waiting for Plan A to come back. There was definitely some technical issues going on today.
That's great. Yes. Good. I'm back. I think we've sort of circulated the information that we've got a new link here now, and I think the ground is covered sufficiently. Again, apologies for the late start, everyone. Let's kick off now. So great. I think to kind of echo what Mike said earlier, yes, it's been a very interesting week. And I think it has ended, it seems, fairly well. I think I understand that quite a number of of people have received their the TitanX that they used to mint Eros. And so I think it's important for us to keep on this and make sure that the community is made whole. I overheard Mike saying that he had invited a member of the community, a member of Eros, to come to us today. I also did the same. I invited Kronos, because he was here last week, and he specifically asked to speak to the community last week. And so I did, certainly send him an invite to join us and give an update. So let's see whether they do join. But in any case, I think on a more upbeat note, I think I'd really want us to start off with why we're here, and it is TitanX after all. That's the main story here. And so I think for anyone who is really in any doubt as to why we have the community we have, and why we continue to emphasize on community building and putting in place some guardrails to ensure that we're playing our part, that the community is protected as much as possible. I think if anyone had any doubt about that, I think we could tell that it actually works. The fact that Kronos and his team have had to go through the rigors of our interviews here and our questioning and trying to find out more has definitely I think contributed to the way that the whole episode of their launch and the infighting within their team, and however or whatever the reason is, or what happened for what happened, I think the community comes first. And I think I was happy to see that Kronos took responsibility. He said he took responsibility for what occurred, and he posted that in the TitanX space. And it seems that the team is following through with doing their best to make the community whole. And when I say doing their best, I think I understand it's going to be about 95 to 97% of the TitanX total amount will be refunded to those who minted. So please, let's keep on top of this. This is what a community can do when we work together. And I think Kronos, if he listens to this later on, we're still going to be on top of this. And we're definitely looking forward to this, ending well, and it will end well. Is what I expect. But let us again, going back to the TitanX again. These guardrails have worked. I say quite well. I know for sure that Kronos wanted to come to the community, and he wanted to get listed on the TitanX hub list. He also wanted to have a live stream with Mike. I know that for sure. And I know that Mike said, listen, get your audits done, get everything done, and when you're ready, then we can then have that discussion. And so this is the inbuilt mechanism or control mechanism within the TitanX community that I think we all can emphasize on. I think we could say that we've been stress tested, perhaps to the extreme in this case, and I think TitanX community really will win in the end, or at least will show that the stress test really did not did not hamper our community unduly. Again, let me just say that we are all we definitely have the responsibility to do our own due diligence. Nothing said here is financial advice. We have to really make sure that on an individual basis we take risks that we're comfortable with. And in this case, it definitely it's the case that the 2 trillion TitanX that was committed to the Eros project is being refunded, at least more or less. Community members are being made whole. And I just wanted to mention that we should also continue as we go forward, recognize that we are, that we also have that responsibility, that we have that primary responsibility to examine these projects, ask questions. And that's why when we call up on our community members in attendance to speak to founders and ask questions, this is why it is important. I mean, I think that goes without saying. Okay. I think I should pause here. I do have a bit more to say on a sort of more broader market view later on, but I think this is the elephant in the room to start off with. This is day 212 of TitanX. This is the last session we're going to have for the month of May. Our next session will be the first session in the month of June next month. So I think we're wrapping up for May, and I do have things that I would like to discuss and share, but I'm going to hold off on that for now, and would like to, in our usual way, I would like to hand over to Mike to for him to share his thoughts, and then we still have our build on TitanX, projects and protocols that have done fantastically well, and this gives us even, when we look at our community and we look at our builders, even gives, this is an opportunity for even more appreciation for those who do things well and go through the process and are prepared to subject themselves to scrutiny so that everyone can win. And so, yes, I must say to Helios, thank you again. I mean, you just like, you're the, this is, you're definitely, in my view, again, this is really the best in class, my view, currently. Okay, I'll put it there. Now, we of course got Blaze, and these guys are working really hard. They're taking the community along every step of the way. And so it's unfortunate that their launch, which is going to be happening in the not too distant future, in the near future, hopefully, that what has happened here with Eros kind of happened before their launch, because I think you look at the way that the Blaze team have acted. They're just communication. They're very accessible, and so I would hope that the community doesn't look at the serious projects to come in the same light as, say, Eros at all. Let us assess these protocols on their own, merit. Okay, so good, Mike. Can I hand over to you?
Absolutely, yeah. So I mean, yeah, as you said earlier, yeah, it's been quite a tough week for the TitanX community. That's one thing for sure. I do not want to speculate much like what really went on, because I think the team itself, maybe RD, Damien, or Marek, will come and respond. I think they're trying probably to piece some of what really went down as well, to see what has happened. So nevertheless, I think from what I've been seeing, people posting, the refund has been completed, as it seems. And if I don't know if anybody listening or has any news so far can come up and probably say something. But from what I've been reading and also what RD told me is that the refund has happened. To how that went down, I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, maybe they can, once everything is cleared, they can come back and and share us the information. I mean, once again, I want to say to all the builders out there, right? I mean, so far, I want to appreciate Dude, Eric, Zieber, Rudy. I think they all build stuff, and they stayed behind it, and they took the right route to build these projects, and went through audits, and they were available. I mean, Dude is in Zieber, they're almost here every week. So yeah, I mean, building project is not easy and extremely hard. And what I'm also trying to do on my end is basically, well, trying to mitigate risk as much as possible in some ways, right? I mean, regarding probably the point of doxing, for instance, right now, I mean, or even being in the community or being heard, it's not that you're doxed, that you're not going to do something malicious. It's that if you're doxed and you do something malicious, you cannot repeat it again, right? I mean, how easy would it be if someone can do something malicious and just delete the Telegram and Twitter and they're gone? And then they can just come back again under a new name and do something malicious again. So it's like the point of all this stuff is just like trying to mitigate risk. There is no 100% certainty of anything. I mean, we're in crypto anyways, right? We are speculating already, obviously, but all these other things, smart contract risk is a thing. I mean, we just saw it right now, right? I mean, from what I had seen, also there were 2 audits which were done on the Eros smart contract. I mean, I saw, but then again, okay, who are these auditors, right? I mean, probably no-name auditors, or maybe I don't know which auditors were these, really, to be honest. And also the other thing regarding the smart contract not being, I mean, so I mean, I checked also on the smart contract was not verified as well. I mean, verified just means like so that we can see the code. At least we could have gone through the code and see what was going on. But that was also something which hadn't happened per se, right? So I mean, there you go. You see how like even all the things probably we thought about maybe, and I asked them like maybe, hey, if you have done the audits, and they went through all that, but well, obviously, still things like that can happen. And this is the thing also regarding crypto, right? There are people who are doxed, and smart contracts are verified, and audits, and they still do something malicious. So that's also not, even if you do all the checks boxes right, it's not like, oh, this is the whatever, nothing will happen, obviously, right? But you're still trying to mitigate risk. Those are the things, like at least you can mitigate some risk regarding that. So I mean, all in all, yeah, we're trying our best, and I mean, at the end, it seems like everybody got refunded. So this was probably not as bad as anything, but still, nevertheless, it wasn't a good news for the community, especially for the upcoming projects, right? People are a bit probably more hesitant now in some way. So anyway, let's keep on going and seeing what the future will hold for us. Over to you, Dude.
So, Dude, sorry, but yes, give us an update as to where Helios is as well, and of course, definitely your thoughts, definitely.
Just I'll get to Helios in a second. Just my first initial thoughts were, as far as the whole Eros situation is, I saw lots of people talking about Jake needs to step in and Jake needs to do this or that, and like this is where DeFi. This is DeFi.
Dude, so sorry about this. I don't know. Are you outdoors? Because really, it's a bit difficult to hear you. I don't know. Are you outdoors?
Sorry, I am in a vehicle driving down the highway. So,
Okay.
I can try to. Let me see if I can fix this. If you want to skip past me for a minute.
Okay. James, over to you.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well, as Mike always likes to say. I don't have a lot to say about Eros. I did not participate. I love the idea of the Pulse Chain airdrop, and I staked over on that side. But for a variety of reasons, I decided maybe not to get into this new one for the minting because I want to get into Blaze and some other things. So I think that Mike Dean has set up some really good. I don't know what you'd really call them. You know, it's not catching. It's like catching a net, but there are guidelines in place, and that's not going to fix everything. Like you can never tell about human behavior of things, and then code. Contracts that maybe are not audited to the point of where things can be manipulated and such. And I don't think any of us will go on record to say we should have done this, or I recommend this project and I don't recommend this one. You'll never hear me say that type of thing. So I don't have a lot to say about Eros. I just think that I'm super happy if those refunds have come back through. This obviously says a lot about the legitimacy of the people that are front facing. I think that's fantastic. A lot of respect out to them. On to baby DragonX. So we are really interested in Pulsar's moves, right? We're watching really closely. I personally participated in their GIF tech, which is going to be the basis of Pulsar. And all this piece about a certain amount of ETH will allow you to bridge over or utilize your TitanX and participate in GIF tech. I'm really interested in how all that's going to work out, whether it's a price impact on the chart, positive price impact, we certainly hope, on the chart, or if there's a possibility for baby DragonX to somehow participate in Pulsar on its own, whether maybe DragonX does something. Baby DragonX is obviously pretty small, 120 billion supply, 40,000 market cap. So we're not huge, but we're really interested in these build on TitanX, build on program or protocols where you can leverage other things, other mechanics to create value. Because we've got a grant pool, and we have a future rewards pool that we can utilize if we want to do that. And we do have our DAO, and we'll take votes on how to allocate. So that's all. Thanks very much for your time. Stop in the Baby DragonX Telegram if you'd like to know more or ask questions. And thanks again. Cheers, all.
Thank you, James. Utah Crypto, please give us an update on Blaze and of course your thoughts on this. It's the elephant in the room. Let's not avoid it or seem as if we're kind of beating around the bush about it. We address it head on and we move on. That's pretty much the idea here. Thanks.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, clearly.
Okay, hey guys, thanks for hosting this space. I can't believe it's already episode 21. Wow. And shout out to the builders that have launched successful protocols so far and safe protocols so far. Yeah, it's a process, right, to get there and get your audits and make sure everything's okay and safe. And as far as Eros goes, I don't want to. I mean, yeah, it's the elephant in the room. And I'm a founder, on another team for another project, so I don't have enough information about it, honestly, to say too much about it. But I will say that Kronos, from what I know of him, seems like an honorable man. And if they're making the community whole and trying to make everything right, well, hats off to them. Should it have ever happened in the first place? No, but there's nothing anybody can do about that now. So one thing about not being the first team to market is we get to learn from everybody else's mistakes, right? So we sit back and we watch all this and we're like, wow, what if there is a backdoor? What if a dev left a backdoor or something like that, And so we're already being double audited. And as a team, we've decided to go triple audited now. So we have hired the TitanX, one of the TitanX auditors and the DragonX auditor, very, very high quality auditor to do our third and final audit for us. So, it's going to push the timeline back a little bit, but it is what it is. I mean, safety is number one, right? We don't want anything to happen, to our users. We don't want anything to happen to the protocol. Like, this is, we are going to be completely decentralized. And, once we turn this thing loose, that's it. There is no go back. So everything has to go right. And we want to build a lot of other projects. And so, in order to do that, our reputation has to be spotless. We really want to launch an amazing protocol, and we want everybody to love it, and we want to be able to build some more things. So we're going through the auditing process. We are so close. I know we keep saying it, but we really are. It is what it is. We have to be safe, and we have to make sure everything's okay. We did $1,000 Ethereum giveaway last week. I believe our winner is here. I see him on here. I've never spoke with him before, but I see him on here. I recognize his name. So that's awesome that he's tuning in. We have another one going now. A few days left for that $1,000 giveaway. And also on Tuesday, the Weekly Blaze has on YouTube has Fashion Coder and Nerd Girl on. So that's awesome. Those women are great. So yeah, we're just trucking along, doing our thing and trying to get our product out there.
Great, thanks UTech Crypto. We'll continue to watch this space, and we'll continue to look forward to your updates on this. I think once you're done, I think once you're done, it will be good, of course, for Mike to have an opportunity as well to look at the code and have the usual interview, or the usual interview or usual streaming before launch. I think I think just looking at Eros, when I look, it's good to reflect in a way. I think the team launched launched Eros and then came on last Sunday. Whereas I think what we've done in the past is we've gone through the entire process. And the process being allowing the community to at least examine and ask questions in terms of admin keys, interview. At least Mike has looked at codes and we've been through that process, and then you have the team will launch. That did not occur with Eros, and perhaps going forward, we'll try to keep that sequence. We'll try to keep that sequence, and hopefully that will be to the benefit of the community as well. Thank you, dude.
You pulled over. Hopefully I sound a little better.
Sorry?
Do I sound any better?
I'm sorry. Maybe it's me. I don't know.
It's kind of worse. Honestly, it's worse.
Oh my God. How about now? Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Well, it's okay. Yes, we can. I can hear you, but it's a bit. It's still. Say a few more words.
Well,
say a few more words.
Yeah, sorry guys. I'm in the middle of nowhere. I just pulled off the highway. I'm in the middle of transit cross country here.
Understood.
But anyways,
it's better now.
Yeah, just real quick with Eros. Again, like, this is DeFi. There's nothing that Jake or I or anybody on the Blaze team, like, this is nothing that anybody on our end can do about this. This is something that you guys as users have to vet these projects yourself. And I know that's hard to do when you can't read code, but there's the lesson to be learned here. Lesson number one is don't interact with contracts that don't have verified code. And that's very easy to do. You can go to Etherscan, you go to the contract address, you click on the contract, and it will tell you it's verified or not. If it's not, then anything could be going on in the background. And that's you know, as a builder, I'm working with my own projects, and I didn't notice that it was unverified until it was too late. But that's something, as a user that participates, they should look into those things. As far as Helios goes, it's running as intended. We just had another 22-day payout. I think it had roughly $20-some thousand in it. So congrats to the Helios stakers for another payout. The buy and burn is running. People are mining. Everything's running as it should be. Giannis has not been much of a firework, mainly because the price of Helios has been doing so well. But the point of Giannis is to burn Helios whenever the price of Helios is less than Giannis, which has not been the case since launch. So, but as buy and sells happen, we're still earning pulse for the Helios treasury. So even though no minting is going on, I'm still calling this a huge success. And I've delayed the video with Mike Dean in light of the whole Eros situation, but we still absolutely intend on doing a deep dive into Giannis on YouTube with Mike Dean. And we do have a promotion that we want to launch, but again, we're kind of waiting to let all the dust settle and make sure everything is okay. Because as Giannis, we did have an LP with Eros, and this is a separate contract than what is on Ethereum. We have an LP with Eros on Pulse Chain, which is verified. However, the owner keys is held by Hellwhale, which we all know is the main culprit with what's going on with Eros. I feel like with Merrick / Kronos, however you know him, the only way he went wrong, I think, is with negligence. I don't see that he did anything negative. His only issue was trusting his developers. They didn't have keys that were distributed like Helios does, or they didn't renounce like Blaze intends to do. Yeah, those are things to look out for as well. But as far as Giannis goes, we're waiting a little bit before we move forward with that. But just keep an eye out with our socials, and we will announce additional information on that very soon. And then in the meantime, we are still working on Wind Vaults. I'm still very excited about what that's going to look like. It's not in 2 weeks. It is not soon. So in the meantime, I think we should just gear up and be excited and keep bugging Utah about when launch, keep bugging Kool-Aid about when launch for Pulsar. And yeah, and let's keep moving. And just remember, this is DeFi. You got to do your own research. And I know that's tough for people that don't have all of the knowledge, but you've got to start somewhere. You know, I didn't know anything about smart contracts when I got into crypto in 2018. But in the meantime, I did research, I did learn about things, and that's how you get ahead and you move forward, is by doing those type of things. But yeah, I'll be here for any additional questions, and I'm hopefully we hear more from the Eros team. But as far as I'm concerned, we're moving forward. Also, as far as the Eros on Pulse Chain, I would be wary of interacting with the contracts there, just because, like I said, Hellwhale has owner keys to that contract. He can change the tax rates on things. He owns the staking. He can change the contract address to the staking wallet. There's lots of things that he could do that would be malicious to Eros on Pulse. So until we get things figured out on that end, I would refrain from buying or selling Eros on Pulse or Ethereum. Just FYI. What's up, Utah?
Hey, so I just wanted to respond to what Plan A said about, you know, sitting down with Mike Dean or coming on here and answering any questions the community has, you know, before launch, or streaming with Mike Dean, which we've already done a couple of times, you know, and I think I speak for the whole team. We would love that for sure. 100%. We'd love to do it. And yeah, I think it's a great idea. Let everybody know, you know, let them ask the questions. And, you know, we do our best to be transparent at all times. You know, we're not trying to keep any secrets. So that would be awesome. I think it'd be great for the community, you know, to build some trust and restore some confidence in some of these projects built on TitanX. And we'd love to do it. So yeah, for sure.
Just one thing I would like to mention as well is regarding, I don't know if you guys remember, but how DragonX launched. I think they did it very, very well, I have to say. I mean, you guys could probably, you may feel some way about Eric or anything, but the way they launched was pretty good because the contract launched, but the minting, they were like, I don't know, a few hours before the minting started. But the code could be seen, and you could verify everything before, and then you had several hours, if I'm not mistaken, several hours before the real minting started per se. So I thought that was really great because the audits were there ready. You could see the code, which was verified on chain, but obviously the real minting was enabled after a certain time, basically. But you could see everything beforehand, really. So I thought that was really well done in some ways. I mean, this is somewhat the best way to go about it, I would say. At least you'd have a chance before you even start minting to look at the code. You have the audits, which were there. Sure, all these things does not mean that it's 100% going to be correct, but you are minimizing your chances of like extreme cases in some ways, right? So still at the end of the day is like, all these things can be done and still something can go wrong 100%, but it's about minimizing all those chances, all those big catastrophes, let's say.
That's actually a very good point. Duly noted. Thank you.
James and Mo. After James, Mo, we'll like to hear from you as well. James, over to you.
Yeah, thanks very much. You know, I always go really fast. I don't throw a lot of extra words in, except right this minute that I'm doing it. So I want to echo what Mike Dean said. So as everyone knows, we build on DragonX, and we took all of their guidance, advice, and mentoring. So we also did all the same things. I don't have the statistics in front of me, how many hours ahead of time the code was viewable, but we did very similar things. You know, we added liquidity 18 hours before. Pretty sure the code was published around that time. So yeah, really good points, Mike. I'm glad you brought that up. So that was really the way to do it. And that's all. Thanks very much. Mo, let's hear from you. How's the dog?
The dog is we got a surgery on Thursday, so we got her immobile till then. But what's up, everybody? I'm going to take a slightly different tone than mostly everybody else has, because they're builders, and I respect all the builders and where they are and what they need to do in terms of how they speak and how they speak about other projects. But as a user, all the users know this was horseshit. This is not awesome, this whole Eros debacle. I'm really glad that it looks like everybody's going to get made whole, and we need to move on past this. But before we do, we need to address it, and we need to nail it in the head, because this was total horseshit that went down. There were red flags associated with this project that a lot of people knew about. myself included. But a lot of us wanted this project to be successful, and so no one said anything. We need to ask the tough questions when it's time to ask them. When Eros, when whatever the hell it was called before it was Eros, I can't even remember, the King X and the Witcher and all that, when that whole thing they just left and then rebranded, no one took them to account for that. And we should have. That was our first red flag as a community on what the fuck is going on here. Now, I'm not going to turn this into a crazy shouting match, but at some point, I want to make a video where I want to address some of these points where as a community, we just completely failed on this. We wanted this project to do well. And so because of that, we sort of willed it in that direction. And we didn't want to speak a single bad thing about it. That's part of the horse shit. I'm part of that problem too, because I saw red flags beforehand and I didn't say anything because I didn't want to trash a build on TitanX project. We need to be better than that. There are really good projects that have launched here. There are really good projects that are coming here. There are nice people everywhere. That doesn't mean that they're good at what they do, and that doesn't mean that the teams that are around them are also good at what they do. There were nice guys associated with this project, and it looks like there were bad guys also associated with this project. There's a lot of shit we need to deal with, and I think I've said my piece on that, and we all get where I'm going, but this is not something we can just dance around. When these guys show back up to answer questions, we need to ask them the hard questions. Why on earth was a contract on Pulse Chain, the Eros contract on Pulse Chain, why were you just allowed to mint without any restrictions as the deployer? Why did no one talk about that? Because we knew about that before Eros launched. We all just didn't talk about that. There are lots of red flags associated with this project. I'm super glad that the plug got pulled and that almost everybody's getting made almost completely whole. But bro, this fucking putting icing on the cake and dancing around this like it's not a, and that we're going to move on past it. We have issues that we need to address head on. And part of that is trying to be too PC on letting people in and letting projects in and not asking hard questions. So I've definitely repeated myself there a couple times. I'm sorry. None of that was directed at anyone so much as the community itself as one of the culprits, because I definitely saw red flags and I chose to keep my mouth shut. Sometimes you need to talk about them. I'm thinking about all the fears that I had about, well, how I would bring up the red flags and how it would be addressed as I'm doing FUD on this. I could have brought up the red flags in a very respectful manner, but I was too worried about the FUD narrative. And I think a lot of us were too. So I think all of us need to kind of relook at this whole thing that just went down. Look at everything we knew, everything we said, and come back at it in another week and really start addressing what just went down. So I love you guys. That sucked. I'm really bummed out for where it puts Blaze and Pulsar, because now they're in a position where people are suspicious right off the bat. And that sucks because they don't fucking deserve that. So as a user of this system, I'm still heated on this. I'm really glad I didn't make a video already, because it probably would have been even more heated than this little rant I've done right here. And this isn't like me. I think I've never done a rant like this, so everybody understands this is not like me at all. But this was a load of horse shit, and we all know it. And if we're not going to address it, then that's horse shit too. So I love you guys. I love these projects. I love the builders. I love this community. We need to address this. That's and maybe it's not in spaces where we all start shouting like I'm doing right now, because I'm a hypocrite. I'm sorry, but it does need to be addressed, and we need to ask the hard questions if these guys do show back up. So I love you guys. That's my piece on it.
Thanks, Mo. I think, yeah, the purpose of this spaces session is to address, the happenings within the community, and there's no way to avoid what happened during the week at all, and that is of course one of the reasons I suggested in the beginning that this is a matter we need to deal with head on and not dance around it, because the community definitely deserves better, and deserves to know what's going on. I invited Kronos, as I mentioned, and I hope he does come up here at some point and put some things to rest. But we have to look forward. I do hope that everyone has been made whole, or if not, at least almost whole. That is the very least that Kronos and his team can do, and it seems they're doing that. So yes, I think it's a good thing that we're trying to draw a line under this. We're trying to look at it and examine it and say to everyone, that as a community project, that we're making sure that we address this the way it needs to be addressed. And going forward, it makes us better. Again, this is a stress test, and I don't think we've done too badly at all. The fact that community members are being made almost whole is definitely an outcome that we can we can be happy with. But that doesn't mean that we overlook the process that got us here in the first place, and make sure that we plug the gaps going forward, and that we can have a robust system. But even at that, we all have our individual responsibilities. I think, as Mike has said in the past, and said here, yes, we've got to do some individual due diligence on our own part, in addition to what we see being done here, and really participate, ask questions. And I'm sure that that sort of rigor and scrutiny will produce among the best projects that we can have, I think, even within the broader crypto community. But let's see, I think Official wants to say something. Official, over to you.
Hello, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. My question is,
Go ahead, we can hear you clearly.
hello, sir. Can you hear me?
Okay. It seems you're going to have to. Can you hear
My
me?
question is, ambassador play a very important role in every project. Do you have an ambassador program? If yes, how can I be one? Thank you. My question.
I'm sorry, I didn't quite hear you. I don't know if anyone understood that question. Could you please chip in and respond to it? Because I didn't really get the question.
Sounds like he's looking for work.
Oh, I see. Okay. Well, okay. Official. I would say, of course, this is not the correct venue. If you are a developer, and you want to speak to individual projects and see what you can contribute, or whether there's any space or room for you to contribute, you could go to the various Telegram communities and contact the admin members there. But yes, let me see someone else. Oh yes, TitanX.
Hey, good morning,
Please.
everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I wanted to chime in a little bit too on the Helios. I mean, not Helios, but Eros. So my big thing is how to, with upcoming projects, to Mo's point, is like, that does put a little bit of anxiety and, question into people, wanting to engage or get involved. So realistically, to be honest, to ask the tough questions is a great approach, but I'm kind of focusing on, the measures that we need to consider for, remediating this incident, or at least manage it in a way that can be beneficial and not make us look, bad as a community. So, that's something that I'm really focusing on, is trying to figure out, keeping an eye out for the FUD and everything, but at the same time, be able to manage how this is perceived by the rest of, the Web3 community. That's the big thing on my mind right now.
Great. Thanks, Sid. I hope that anyone who is looking from outside in can see that we've been very transparent with the way we're dealing with this. I hope that they can also see that whatever occurred during the week got dealt with very quickly. The community came together and pressed for answers. And I think Kronos, to his credit, he responded to questions. He did respond, and as I mentioned earlier here, he took responsibility. And actually, I don't know for sure whether everyone has been made whole yet, but they did commit that everyone would be made whole today. That's Sunday. And so I think if we look at the way it's worked together, I mean, how everything has worked, I would hope that anyone looking at this could say, okay, I mean, we have a very high standard in this in the community here. And so the process worked. The process worked. And I think, there are a lot of bad players in the community. They've definitely, as you know, in the wider crypto community, we don't need to go into details at all. But what you had here is that even when things went wrong, the team rallied to make sure that everyone was made whole. And yes. So even when things went wrong, they took responsibility, and within a week, less than a week, actually, to be frank, within a few days, they made sure that they made people whole, or at least almost whole. So, in a sense, our community building and the mechanism we've developed here works.
True.
Okay. And so I hope anyone looking from outside in can have that in mind. And we're actually looking at what we're doing through the reflection that we're doing here. We're looking at, okay, how do we educate our community members to, even when things have gone through, even when projects and protocols have gone through the rigor of our examination, so on, the pointers for our community members to take before taking that next step. And so, this is an incident that has been cleaned up fairly quickly. And I think, again, looking in from outside, I think it's been handled well. But I'm not going to.
Can I just cut in? Let's make sure that we're cleaning this up and not sweeping it under the rug, because
Understood.
someone's saying they take responsibility for something, that doesn't mean anything. When they say they take responsibility, well, I take responsibility for it, then they just go away. That doesn't actually mean anything. So I'm really glad that everyone got refunded, and that's awesome. But we still don't actually have answers on what happened. So I do just want to point that out, that he said he took responsibility, refunded us, and we still don't have any answers on what just happened. So let's acknowledge that.
That's a great point. Now I must say to you why I have repeated. Yes, TitanX. Are you going to? Yeah. So why I have re-emphasized the fact that he took responsibility here is because I'm sure that you followed the discussion. There were threats of legal action. And for him to have stepped out there to put it out in black and white that he took responsibility, if this had gone all the way, there would be legal implications. I mean, that statement will definitely be something that would be held, and he would definitely be held responsible legally. But of course, that is an extreme. and we're not
Okay, fair enough. It's also a politician line in America. That's why I think maybe why I jumped at that.
No
Politicians say they take responsibility in America.
Correct.
That doesn't mean
what I'm talking
so,
about.
You're correct. I do apologize. You're correct. That does mean a lot more than I suggested.
I knew. Definitely. I mean, it's not just taking responsibility and paying lip service. I'm talking about legal responsibility, and so and they knew fully well that the community were going to take this was going to go further. And Hellwell, as you know, came up with his story and so on, but not to kind of delve into that. I will hope. And I actually expect that Kronos will come over here when things calm down a bit, and he would at the very least come and explain to the community what really happened there. But yes, Mo, thank you. You're absolutely right. It's not enough just to say, listen, I take responsibility. If you're taking responsibility, you're taking legal responsibility. And you're taking responsibility to refund the community and make the community whole at the very least. So great. That point is taken. Great. I think we've got quite a few people up here. Chizzy, are you, yeah. Can I say you, and then of course Mofo can then chip in. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. So just want to weigh in on the Eros thing. So for me, this is a exercise in personal responsibility taking and not projecting any, blame or anyone else having responsibility. This is fucking DeFi. Okay. I didn't know.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So I didn't know that it was a verified contract. That's on me. All the information is there. So in my checklist, I know that, but I didn't care. Why? Because I wanted it to be successful. That's the first thing. So I made a decision to put too many of my TitanX into an unverified contract that I really didn't understand where all the keys were, who had the keys for the buy and burn. If I had known, and this is the question I should have asked Kronos and anyone else who was speaking on behalf of that team, is who's got the buy and burn keys, right? And so, I don't want to focus too much more on Eros. I have a pretty good judge of character. I think that Kronos is a good man. That's just my intuition. But the truth is, what's important is that in a trustless, decentralized world, we have to take personal responsibility for our actions. And so, not only did Kronos say, I'm going to take responsibility, but that team airdropped into my wallet. So I was pretty much made whole despite my poor decision making. Now, so right away, and by the way, like the Mo said, he saw some red flags. I didn't see any red flags because I didn't really dig so deep, but I sensed in my gut that there was something wrong there, and I didn't trust that. And so I knew that I had a bunch of TitanX to put into build on TitanX projects. And so, this is a place, and I don't want to gas Helios. And at the same time, what I really like about that project, and part of this, I just want to speak about founder risk, because Eros is a good example where the face of the project, Kronos, I put a lot of trust in without knowing his partners, without knowing, where the keys were. And so there's a lot of founder risk in these projects, just like there's a lot of founder risk even in TitanX, right? So what I like about Helios is that it's a pure play. It's a leverage play on TitanX that is a leverage play on ETH, and it aspires for interdependence and independence from TitanX. So, and most importantly, and the lesson here for me is be attentive to the DAO and to the decision making and to the multi-sig wallets, and really pay attention to what's going on behind the marketing facade. So in my mind, it's time to it's not about sweeping it under the rug. No, this community has been rigorous in screening projects, and yet this one got through, and everyone, at least I knew in my gut, that there were risks that I really shouldn't be taking, but I took them anyway, and so I take full responsibility. So at this point, personally, I'm really thankful. I'm thankful that I got my TitanX back. I've already redeployed them into more Helios miners, which is where most of my TitanX has been going. And I feel like this is an indicator for me that this community is strong. TitanX is freaking powerful asset that's about to become deflationary. And quite honestly, I don't give a fuck personally what anybody else, any other community thinks about this community. What I think is important is that there's integrity at the core of it. And then at the right time, when the bull market hits, TitanX ecosystem will be a magnet, especially assuming that X28 and the Omni-chain experiment is successful. I suspect what we're going to see is real volume from base chain and some other places in the EVM network that that X28 and Omni-chain will open up. So I'm ready to move on. I'm just thankful I got my TitanX back. I feel like the community has done what it needed to do, and I'm moving on. So thanks so much.
Thank you so much. So well said. Mofo.
Yes.
Over to you.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Shout out to Mo for putting his emotions out there. I guess there's no cake today. But I picked up a lot from what's just been said and listening, that we just literally had our ass on the line and everything could have been gone, every investment, because if this went into legal action, the SEC or whatever didn't even need to be called. We'd be just as bad as in their courtroom, as wherever this went. And this isn't the first time. If anyone's paying attention, the Dragon robot son of a bitch. There was the first problem we ever had. And I don't agree I know the difference between right and wrong. And that's one thing. I'm not even collecting my airdrop because the community deserves that back. And they're not even getting everything back, so I'm not even claiming it. I'm about this community, and it's this stuff. A lot of us put it all into this because it's what we believe in, and it's that close to getting taken away from every one of us just because of a scene like this. In all respect, that it came out, gave the money back, did the right thing, I totally respect that. You go off the radar, I see you one day, or I go kick your ass. But I have all the respect in the world for a man that fixes his wrongs and makes them right. It's, the difference in it. The day 90, I wasn't okay. I wasn't even staked because it did damage to the community. This did damage. The robot dude did damage. I want to see people come in, but it's everyone's at a stranger danger kind of scene here. And everyone's on the ropes. And no one's knowing where to go, trust. But on the other end of things, we have Helios doing awesome. And I love the Titan Guardians. That's the actual true meme coin of the community. There's no secret circle or drop in the middle of the night they're giving it out like that's true community stuff, and that's what I love. I stand behind. But what we just had, the risk of a lifetime, like it's like shots fired, like they just went by your head. That's how bad and dangerous this was for all of us. And I don't know if anyone realizes that. How like no one's even here yet. This crap happens in, say, December, and the circus is listening. You're never going to hear the end of it. But I mean, I got some major concerns on some of this stuff. I don't know how everyone else feels, but we can't have this. I mean, I got too much on the line. Like, I really believe in everything we got, but these three things are just scary. But I mean, we have good things going for us, but that legal, and it really turns my stomach, because I know where that would have put us in like an XRP, or we would have been in the hex seat before we even climaxed, if you know what I mean. Like, we wouldn't even got a freaking green candle. And I'd just like to see that day, but I just want to know if we're going to have some sort of better security or what we can do here.
Great, Mofo, I would just I would chip in. That takes us to probably the next phase of our discussion here. I would say I'll take the two concerns you mentioned there. The day 90 payouts, I think we have dealt with that extensively here. You're right. It definitely the community took a hit. But
I mean, simply, I could care less what happens to the Genesis money, but it's just the smallest thing everyone knows from right from wrong. That was totally wrong. I mean, I wouldn't give a shit if it was day 91. I didn't have $1 in there. It's about, like, I love this community. I'll stand up and fight for y'all any day. But it's just shenanigans.
I can hear you. I mean, I actually had a decent amount in the staking pool. So definitely, I definitely got hit significantly. And so just put it there, full disclosure. And so, but I can definitely take a look and see the future, and to say there's everything to play for. And I would explain that here. Of course, we know that, the story of the inflation and moving on to deflation. And I think, Jake definitely, as you know, he definitely, he has the best interest of the community at heart, but he's not perfect by no means at all. And so there are sometimes decisions that can be made even with the best intention, but then ends up not playing out or panning out as expected. And I think, in my view, this is what happened here. Now, that said, where are we today? Actually, whether it be by accident or design, TitanX is fast approaching the deflationary phase. And this, in a big way, is actually as a result of what happened to the, during the day 90 payout. And all you need to do is look at, the mining. If you look at Mike Dean's Netalytics, you can see pretty much mines have ground to a halt on the TitanX level. At the same time, we still have, I think, over 7 million, between 7 to 8 million worth of, USD worth of ETH in the 369-day payout. that's a major milestone we need to keep an eye on.
And that hasn't even 2x yet. Just imagine that. It's going to be crazy. I put up some numbers the other day where if it was $6,000, we're doing $20,000 burns. That's awesome.
And there you go. And so the story is still very, the protocol is very sound. We of course in this phase of build on TitanX, but if you just take a look at what the future and what it may look like, it's a big story. It's a huge story. And so whatever happened on day 90, again, whether it be by design or accident, may very well be to the benefit of us of the community in the medium to long term. And medium to long term is really 6 months to 9 months. And so this is really the story.
We see that.
Yes,
I've looked at that.
Correct. And so this is after you.
Oh no, I've looked at the math, and yeah, definitely just having that weight and all, just the value there, it should come back at heavy dividends. Like I see that, but it's like at the same time, it's I'm like ride or die, and like seeing how this community, it's like I put it on this community, it's like got it on the line, and I put more on the project in my life. I mean, I literally put my ass on the line for this because that's how I believe in it. Because I mean, my whole life, the only thing I understood is math. English, shit. Works out.
Well, we definitely need you and your skills, in the community. Mike Dean is a data person, as you know, and this, of course, gives us good insight in the future, of what the future could really look like. And so, if I may, just to finish off on this, now, so you have this payout that's about 78 million due on day 369. That may very well, be much more than just 7-8 million come October. You also have about 26 to 27 million in the buy and burn pool that hasn't yet been deployed. That's another milestone we need to look at. We have, of course, the day 280 mints that are due to come out in August. We have, in terms of protocols, between now and August may very well launch. We're looking at Blaze. We're also looking at X28, which may very well absorb a good chunk of what is coming out in day 280, as well as, of course, the stakes. The stakes that are sitting there, that a lot of people, of course, a lot of community members, rightly, of course, were upset about when day 90 occurred. Of course,
I just hope they get something back in return down the road, like something.
Absolutely. And so let's look. I would say there's everything to play for. Let's see what Jake comes up with the X28 protocol. We have a couple more, I say, core protocols coming out again, including a Blaze.
Oh, don't forget.
Yeah.
One of those things on Hyper for, I think he's holding it back one session, so it'll be after 280. So it's supposed to do a really big hit on the supply, which is smart that he's holding it back because there's no point in really, that's what I mean. There's like really releasing a project right now. I mean, all it's going to do is kind of make the price go up where you'll burn less. And you're better, we're holding off the day 280, but in the meantime, we still got to do something. And I'm glad there are a couple projects coming out. Yep. But Jake, I do believe that he was holding something back on Hyper second term, and it was the Vortex or the other side. But I know that protocol is supposed to do some heavy damage because it's going to be a double, and that's
Yep.
coming after the fact.
Correct. Pulsar is the other project that one is looking forward to as well, to see what they bring to play. So there is, between now and August, and so if we look at it, we're almost at the halfway mark of the year. So this is almost, we're approaching this week, end of the week, the end of this month, and so if we look at what the second quarter and third quarter will bring, we've got in August, we're getting the big. So, well, we say this second quarter, we're expecting some protocols to launch. Again, Blaze, Pulsar, perhaps X28. And by the sort of the third quarter, we're looking at this big 280-day, kind of mint being released. And we see how that plays out. But after that, you look down the horizon, there's not much coming out at all in terms of,
most of it's more miners, because I got in day 57.
So there's not much coming out. So what
miners.
Correct. And so,
and also I remember a YouTube that came out, someone ran where they didn't get on Mike's sheet, or it said no miners, and the video was kind of a joke to see if people paid attention to it. But there was only like 40 miners or something, with like 10 days left in November. Only 40 miners. But by the time you get to November, you got less than triple digit. You got only double digit miners coming out.
Correct. And then you look at this. You look at fourth quarter of this year and first quarter of next year. You have a massive buy and burn. You have very little in terms of mines coming out. There is really, and you have this pressure with the third party projects, if you like, build on TitanX projects that are all putting pressure on TitanX. There is really one way, I think. There's only one way that this can go if all of this pans out. And when you look at it, that's exactly the way things are going. So I think what we need to do is, continue. This is all an experiment. The things are not going to go perfectly. But if things go wrong, or we see things going wrong, we kind of rally together to make sure we put things back on track. That's where we are, and that's what we've done here with Eros. And just keep and
people. If they see some, for anyone, if you all see something, say something. Like, we can't have this when the circus shows up and all the eyes are on us. I mean, can you only imagine when there's 1,000 people listening in on the show, and we got this going on? And by no means, I'm not trying to generate FUD. I'm just putting my feelings out there. And it's like, I don't even have an investments in things, but it's how much community I know are. When December comes, you know how many people are going to be tuning into TitanX, because I believe we're going to shave off 2 zeros like pulling up a zipper. Like, it's going to go like that.
Yeah. Well, let me. Sorry about this, Morpho. I know Crypto Elite seems to be. I don't know. Crypto Elite and Crypto Awesome are sort of waiting. Let's see what they have to say. We can always come back. We circle back. But anyway, Crypto Awesome. After you.
PJ, happy birthday. It's his birthday. If you see him on her today, wish him happy birthday. That's PJ Dubs.
Oh, PJ, okay. PJ, happy birthday.
Dubs, Paul. It's his birthday. Wish him happy birthday, Paul. All right. Appreciate the time, guys. Have a good Sunday.
Oh, great. Thank you. Crypto Awesome. Now, if anyone has any question or concerns, contribution, please feel free. Please come up, and we're ready to discuss. And if we've missed anything, please point that out.
Can you guys hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yes, we
Hey,
can.
Yeah, hey, thanks, guys. You know, I want to say I appreciate everybody's views on all this stuff. You know, I see where the anger is coming from, and we do need to make sure that we're a secure community. You know, and the other thing, there's a lot of things. I mean, Jake always says in any interviews, guys, this could nuke to zero. He literally always says it. And, not financial advice, this could nuke to zero, whatever. And I like, that's something I have to say on every stream. And, unfortunately, we have to say it, but it's true. The problem is we don't actually think about that. Like, we're not thinking that that's true. We're putting all of our money on the line. And and I do want to also say what Chiz was saying. We got personal responsibility here. I mean, we are in the crypto space and we are in experimental projects, which literally this is the first year when I started taking personal responsibility, when I started reading white papers and reading the white papers. Actually, the moment I read the TitanX white paper, I was in. I'm like, dude, this is it. I sold half of my XRP and I just said I'm into this TitanX project. Now that was probably too much to jump into it with it, but you know what? I do have a extreme mentality. Here's the other thing, guys. Like Merrick, when I interviewed him, oh my gosh, he is so personable. He's a great salesperson, and we're sitting here on this stream. I'm trying to pump the community up. I'm trying to pump everybody up, but also I need to have some ideas and thoughts from you guys because, like, I want to be the pump man, but I don't want to just be pump man. I want to make sure that we're pushing great projects that are built on TitanX. So I did a video. We had more people on the Eros video before it launched than I've ever had on any live stream. And so, I'm pushing it, I'm pumping it, and I'm like, I don't want people to get injured for videos that I make. Now, I have to say it's not financial advice because obviously it's not, and it's all an experimental project. So I just want us to remember that we're in the crypto space. And yes, I do believe we have massive potential. I just want people to remember that everything that we're doing is experiments. And I'm doing this more for a learning process. I want to learn because I want to launch my own projects, but I'm glad I didn't launch it yet because now I need to go through this whole cycle. I need to play these games. I need to put skin in the game. I need to see what works, what doesn't work. And then, I need to make sure that when I launch my protocol, and I'm not going to launch now until next cycle, I'm going to go through the bull, get liquid early next year, and then go through the bear, rebuy at the bear, and start building during the bear to launch in 2027 or 2028. That's just my plan. But the cool part about that plan is now I get to experience all of these projects. Now, when Eros went, now I like Merrick, but I don't think that, we can't trust people based upon liking them. Unfortunately, we need to trust people based on their actions. Trust is earned. Now it can be lost. Now it can be regained, but when trust is lost, it's really hard to build trust after it's been lost. So I personally like Merrick as a founder of a Kronos, as a founder. I like what RD was doing. I think that the faces of that team are great. But we all need to remember that one hell whale on anybody's team, no matter what project you're doing, will destroy your project. One bad core team member with bad intentions.
Sorry, crypto awesome.
Yeah.
Sorry, I mean, Mofo, can you put your speaker on mic on mute, please? Can you mute? Thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No problem. You're making some great points. Thank you. Go ahead.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I just want to say I love this community so much. I love what Jake put together. I love the white paper. The day 90 thing, I was involved in that too. I got in on about day 60. But ultimately, we are a community, and this is not a solo sport like some of these crypto people will say. I mean, it is in one sense because we're on our own when we're doing it, but it can't be a solo sport because if it's a solo sport, we are a community. Our community is not solo. Without a community, we won't have any coins that pop. We will not, TitanX will not blow up if we do not build a community. And so I want to be a hype man for TitanX and all the projects, the good projects built on TitanX. And now I also know that puts me in a precarious situation. Same with Mike Dean. Mike Dean, you have done such an amazing job with this community, building all the stuff that you build. And, you know, the thing, I'm learning a lot from you, Mike Dean. So I appreciate you having the technical knowledge, doing the analytics. And then you have put yourself also in authority position with the TitanX Hub. Now, with the TitanX Hub, you know, hey, it's your thing. So you get to choose who goes on it, who's not on it. Now, we don't need people bagging on you for not putting things on it or for putting things on it. You know, you're trying to give us value as a community. And that's what I'm trying to do too here. But I also appreciate knowing now I had no idea about verified contracts. I'm just some dude that literally knows that crypto is the future of where we're moving. And so I'm not like an expert on this. I'm a experimenter, and I'm in this to help build the community and help build hype for great projects. So I'm very thankful that Marek was able to put everything back into give everybody back their minted Eros, and that was great to wake up to. I'm like, that shows me that I can respect him because of his actions. Now, yes, you're right, the Mo. There were a lot of false starts, and the thing is, when you have a charismatic person as a founder, I believed him, and I helped him push that project. So in a way, I feel I'm not part of the project. I'm just a pump guy, but like I did get like relay the hype, and I think that some people got in because they heard my stream, and I'm like, well, if we can have any advice from you guys, like how do I approach this, like as a influencer on here doing shows with founders, like is there something I should be I mean, I guess I could look at this the personal responsibility side and say, hey, now I know about verified contracts. If they're not verified, you know, we can be very clear about that. But you know, what do you guys think about that? Like, how do I choose what videos to do and what to pump?
Crypto awesome, very good question, and I want us to address that. And I think I would, you know, we definitely will address that next. I know that crypto elite has been waiting for quite a bit. That's a question we're definitely going to address. Crypto elite, do you want to add to that or ask any questions so we can address both questions in one go? At all. So crypto elite, over to you.
Hey, I'm sorry, man. I just joined in and I put on the speaker. That was all. I got kicked out a couple of times, so I have nothing to say. I'm just listening in. So thank you.
Great. I know you were here previously, and then you know, so I exited, and I thought, okay, perhaps you had something to say. Anyway, thank you. So we've got a very important. Sorry,
Plan A. I just want to say something real quick.
Mike, yes, go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm seeing Marv and Mackenzie are listening. I'm just trying to invite them up to if they want to say something. That'll be great. Mackenzie, Marvin, come up, man. Maybe you have some thoughts here I would like to hear.
Oh, great. Mike, on that note, do you have a response to for crypto awesome? I mean, he's asked a great question. As an influencer, what are the key areas to focus on to help the community better as an influencer and do his, you know, play his part better as an influencer? Do you have anything to, you know, any answers there?
Yeah, I mean, I have probably some few thoughts regarding that. I mean, the thing is, like, first of all, it is a hard thing, absolutely. So, and the why it makes it so hard is because you have to trust people who have never launched any project so far. So there is no track record whatsoever. So obviously, those are kind of things you would probably lean into first if you want to invite people in some ways, right? Like, yeah, have they launched a project before? And if they haven't, okay, what is their team? But then again, it's also very hard to judge in that way because obviously Marek and his team, maybe they do know how to like they probably they could deliver, but then you have one guy in your team who is not honest. So there's probably honest people, and then there's one snake in the team. So that's also a hard thing to judge in some ways, right? So I mean, I think it's just going to be a hard thing going forward. All in all, that's just crypto, how things are. I mean, one of the reasons why I even Marek told him, like, hey man, I'm not gonna do an interview before you launches. Well, let's speak after you have launched, and then we can see, maybe you can do an interview afterwards. Because one of the things I was just thinking, I was like, they wanted to there was the first project which didn't come out, and then there was a pivot, I don't know, Witcher X or something, and that didn't come out, and now the third one. So I was very hesitant already from that thought, where I was like, oh, man, I don't know, it's kind of weird, like, I mean, nothing was said, what had happened and everything. So I was just very hesitant in some ways. So I mean, the reason why I told him was like, hey man, let me know once you have the audits ready and everything, and then we can maybe talk about it. I mean, at the end, yeah, they launched, and I mean, I saw the audits as well. I mean, the website is down now, so I cannot really, I don't have access to those anymore, unfortunately. But then again, you also have to ask yourself, like, okay, this is a web of trust in some ways, right? Because you trust the auditors, right? And then, yeah, so now the question is like, who are these auditors, right? It would be good to have these names of auditors so that other people will never use them again, because that's the whole point, right? Is like they put their reputation on the line to audit these code, and if they haven't done it in such a way that is a safe way, then it's like, well, people should not use them anymore, right? I mean, that's the whole point, right, of all this. It's a web of trust in some ways, in all this stuff. Anyway, probably the short answer is, yeah, it is hard, and yeah, it's gonna be hard. And I mean, essentially, probably just wait until it launches, and then you have all the audits and everything, and then you can do it. I mean, that's the easier answer, right? And then anything before is like, yeah, you have to, yeah, it's just you're incurring a risk if you do it before. That's the way it is, unfortunately.
Right. I know that it kind of sucks in a way to say that, because sometimes I mean, there's new projects that are going to be like and let's look at actually how successful the launch was. Goodness, guys, like literally 2 trillion TitanX was deposited in 24 hours. We all got, I mean, like the whole community got together. Like it was a very successful launch. Now, the problem, because it wasn't a fully clean team, but like we do have a good community here that's ready to get onto great projects. So I like doing interviews with projects that haven't launched yet. I do think that we just need to make sure we always are remembering that this is experimental projects, no matter what. And I do like Doc's teams, but I think Doc's teams without verified contracts now, I don't, you know, and I'm glad I got my TitanX back, because now I did also I made more Helios miners. So thanks, dude, for Helios. I'm so stoked on your project. But anyways, you guys are all amazing. Thank you, Mike Dean, for everything you do, bro. And thank you, Plan A, for putting these on all the time. I wish I could tune in more, but I'm glad I was here today. So thank you, guys.
Thank you so much. I think Utah and Kizzy had something to say as well. Utah, you had your hand up, didn't you? Over to you. Utah, can you hear me? If not, Chizzy.
Yeah, I just want to say one thing to Crypto Awesome. I think it's not just if you're a hype guy, I think you might have some added responsibility, but all of us, you know, are in some ways our own hype people here. And so I sort of feel like I think it's sort of like what Mo said, which is he had some red flags and didn't say anything for fear of FUD and because he wanted to make it work. I think I was the same way. And so I think that what's important, it's sort of like in any partnership or any investment early on, you got to ask the hard questions early and often. And so whatever are the hard questions, and it's typically around money, or relationships. And so, yeah, so it's just being, as high integrity as we can be. This is an imperfect science, right? And at the end of the day, each of us have to take responsibility for being participants in probably the highest risk, investment class that there is. It's higher than typical startups, because we just don't know, and it's high, and typical startups are really high risk anyway. So anyway, that's it. I just think we've got to learn to ask for myself, have learned to ask, all right, now let's talk about the keys. Let's talk about backdoors. Let's talk about who's got keys for the buy and burn pool, stuff like that, where I really hadn't been thinking that, but that's what I'm thinking now. So for me, it's just a lesson. It's a learning opportunity. I don't like this idea of spreading, pointing the fingers, but taking full responsibility, and then collectively, protecting as many people as possible. Yeah. So thanks so much.
Thanks, Chizzy. You're absolutely right. The important thing here is the lesson learned. The important thing here is that everybody's made whole. If not, then almost whole. It's important that we draw the lessons as a community. We don't need to beat ourselves up too much. I think the fact is we're doing the exercise here of looking back and making sure that the lessons are learned. But also, let's not be stuck on kind of looking back. Let's look at the future and make sure we don't miss the opportunities that the future presents here. We're drawing a line under this. Kronos is invited to give us an update, and I have invited him, as mentioned earlier. And yeah, we always have an open door policy here. He would have to come in, of course, and whenever and give us an update. Now, Yuta, I know you had your hand up earlier. After you, Cleo can go. Then Yuta, Crypto, over to you.
What am I speaking now? Or
No, it's Yuta Crypto, and after him, yourself, Cleo. Yuta, yeah. Can you hear me, Yuta? Okay, Cleo, you go. After you, then Yuta Crypto, because we can't hear Yuta.
yeah, so in the spirit of Chiz's comment in relation to asking hard questions and making bold statements, the discussion of admin keys for TitanX is very important. I know Jake Sharp's Nick Keenan said at launch that at some point the admin keys would be renounced. They never have been. They're still there. There's no sign of him renouncing the admin keys. But the issue with that is because there are admin keys still there, it's gonna take away way more people looking to potentially have a punt on TitanX than it is people actually taking punts on TitanX. But also, because of the admin keys for TitanX itself, that inevitably means that every single project that is built around TitanX also has admin keys. Even though those project protocols might not have admin keys themselves, it makes them vulnerable to the admin keys for TitanX. So for as long as Jake Sharp has admin keys on TitanX, every single thing that is built on TitanX is exploitable. And that needs discussing, because actually, I don't know if you guys have heard of a protocol called DBZen. You probably have, because the majority of you probably know Zen. But I've actually got a very good relationship with its founder, a guy called Razvan. And I've had several discussions about TitanX and potentially giving a use case to TitanX via the DBZen ecosystem. But they won't do it. And they won't do it because of those admin keys. And I personally feel that people need to be confronting him about that, because let's face it, at the moment, when you go on the TitanX website, it tells you if you mine, you will lose 72% of your money. So nobody's going to mine. That simply leaves buying TitanX, which, let's face it, is very risky. Like, it just is. And claiming the second narrative is obviously claiming your TitanX mines as they come to fruition. But that in itself is also risky. So I really do feel like the community should be fighting back and doing something about getting rid of those admin keys.
Well, thanks, Cleo. I mean, I think you definitely very clear on this. That the admin keys with any project is definitely something that any community should be concerned about and have a good understanding of how things work. But you recall we had I don't know if you know, but these discussions about admin keys with respect to V1, the V1 buy and burn pool. So there was only one pool, but that was a V1 pool for buy and burn, and that is actually the admin keys that you're talking about. Now, this was discussed.
Is that pool? Is the pool that has admin keys? Is that the pool which burns regularly, or the one that's going to be burning?
So they're two. So within a week or so after TitanX launched, there were discussions about this, and V2 was created. Now the V2 is the pool that the community can trigger. The V1 pool is the pool that that Jake can trigger.
Jake controls, yeah.
Yes, I mean he can trigger it. He can trigger as to when it burns. So now I mean. So in effect, I mean, this was now almost 6 months or 7 months ago or so now. Anyway, it was sometime in November because we launched this, and I mean, TitanX launched 28th of October.
What pool has the keys? The V1.
I say now, everyone, you can correct me if I'm wrong here. We're not talking about the keys here. We're talking about who controls, who can actually regulate the burn.
Okay.
That is actually what we're talking about, not the So if by keys, that's the V1. That's V1. Now, by admin keys, what you're actually saying, I mean, admin keys means, of course, you can go and take the funds out there. It's pretty much like
No, that's not what I mean by admin keys, sir.
So what do you mean by admin keys? I mean, just so that we're talking about the same thing here, because if you're saying. So
an admin key can be used in different narratives. It could simply mean you own the keys to a pool of something and steal it. But the second narrative is you have access to a pool of funds, and you can use that pool whenever you want. Now, the problem with that is at the moment there is $17.1 million sitting in the V1 pool. Now Jake has the ability. He's never going to steal it, and I'm not saying that that's a risk because that would be too blunt, and I don't even know if it's possible. But what he could do is decide, okay, September the 1st this year, I want to buy a new house worth $5 million, and decide on that day to make an inordinate purchase of TitanX, pumping his bags. Now that is as good. That is as good as achievable as having an admin key, which will allow you to outright take those funds. Because don't be under any illusion, Jake Sharp right now has the ability to take $17 million. But as a consequence and a byproduct of that, every single utility built on TitanX, every protocol can also be manipulated by Jake. It's not just TitanX, every protocol and builder that gives TitanX a use case can be manipulated by by Jake Sharp, because every one of those protocols is going to be reliant on TitanX itself. So it seems to me that the priority for the community, the outright priority for the community, is getting him to do something with those admin keys. Because I can tell you, DDZen, DDZen has taken over $22 million worth of ETH for nothing. They have no admin keys at all.
Okay.
There's no reason for him to have those keys, dude. There's no reason at all.
I hear you. Yeah, I mean, I think the term you said, it is comparable to having admin keys. Now, the fact is, we've had these discussions extensively. Now, we've had this discussion extensively when this launched, and the solution was to create a V2, which is the community controlled.
That's not a solution, dude, because $17 million sits in the V1 pool, bro.
Well, you know what? I mean, Jake can actually go in and take this funds and move it to V2. And that was always the thing. We always knew it. Now, the value of V1 has really grown. I mean, you've had ETH has increased in value since October. Of course, and we're keeping
let me stop you right there. You just said something really important.
What?
Very important.
Yeah.
Jake has the ability to go to the V1 pool and move the funds.
No. I think the only way Jake can do this is by increasing the burn. Cleo, can I just say to you, I mean, you've used the term, I mean, this is why I wanted us to home in on definitions here. You said admin key, and you say something comparable to admin keys. Now, if we just home in on this, I can just say to you, and that's why I said to you, I mean, if you're saying admin keys as in Jake can go and take the 17 million either through a back door and so on, no. I mean, the way the code is, and it has been reviewed within the community. In addition, listen to, Cleo, can I just mention this? For one, if it was possible to move that 17 million to V2, it would have been done the first. But because the way it was designed was such that, no, he didn't have the access. But of course, he has the access to, he has the ability to increase the burn rate. And of course, it's a fact that it's a manual process, just as V2 is a manual process for the community. Now, what we agreed, I mean, what the community is aware of is, listen, you know what? Whenever the V1 completely burns out, it's done, and it goes. But nothing else goes into V1. Every new fund or funds go into V2. So when V1 is burned, it's burned and it's gone. But because, of course, with it.
And how, so what parameters does Jake have for using the V1 funds?
Well, go there. You could see it there. It's all public. You look at it right there. It explains exactly, the current cap rate. And so it says that, these discussions, we had them extensively. And within the community.
Can I just jump in there quickly?
But it says here the current cap per swap is 1 ETH.
Yeah. So I don't think this is a very fruitful discussion right now, because I've made a video regarding that, and you can have a look at that, and then you can also check the audits, and you can exactly see what can be done and what cannot be done. There is no direct access to the funds.
Fruitful discussion. You're saying it's not a fruitful discussion, but I'm telling you, there's an entire community.
There is no access. There is no direct access to the funds. Only
but he doesn't need direct access to the funds.
But stop. I mean, Cleo, when you say he has an admin key to go in there, this is the sort of statement that is a complete mistake. I'm sorry to put
no, you're not understanding what I'm saying.
I know, I understand what you're saying. I've been within the TitanX ecosystem from day one. I know what you're saying, and I actually helped. I helped encourage, and I also helped with the entire discussion that have created this V2. So I honestly don't want us to spend. We're coming up to the, the 2 hour mark. I'd rather us discuss something. If you want us to discuss this, I'd rather you, as Mike has said, please go and take a look at the white paper.
I'm looking at it now.
Okay, take a look at And you know what? If you want to participate, you participate. If not, then fine. But I'm telling you, nothing else goes into V1. Nothing goes in there. That was agreed.
So one last comment.
listen.
One last comment from me. This
Go
is
ahead.
the last thing I'd like to say.
Please.
Let's say Jake Sharp, when he launched the contract, the protocol, let's say he made 1,000 miners for 400 days. For example, what's to stop him from on day 400, when he's got those miners and that TitanX in them miners, what's to stop him from saying, okay, I'm going to use $10 million of the $17 million to buy and burn TitanX? That's as good. That's as good as just going into the wallet and getting rid of it.
No,
And taking
clear. You're making the same point that you've made. First of all, there's no. I mean, your minor length here. You go and take a look at the minor lengths here. I mean, there's nothing.
I know about
there's
that.
no day 400. But long and short of it, as a community, we've discussed this. We know for sure. You know what? You know the V1 pool is. Therefore, I've actually explained to you. Nothing else goes into that. We have it all there. It is actually public information as to how many ETH, the current cap in terms of the buy and burn rate. We're comfortable with that as a community. But if you're not comfortable with that, then fine. You can move. I mean, you don't have to participate. It's as simple as that. And that's exactly where we are on that. I really rather us not continually harping and dwelling on this, because this is really a settled issue. You go there.
It's not settled, dude. There's an entire crypto community that are out of TitanX and not involved.
No, I disagree with that. Even the DB, and now you're talking about this. I know the Zen community very well, and you know that. Now let me tell you something. The DBZN guys have always had something in for Jake. You know that. They saw this as a threat.
They haven't.
I was speaking to I have seen personal. This is. I'm talking about months ago. Months ago, they said listen. Jake's TitanX has outperformed anything that they've done.
Are you crazy, dude?
Listen,
look at
Jake,
the numbers.
Cleo, I'm going to have to end this conversation here. I'm going to end this conversation now. Honestly.
Why?
Because
you've just been talking about being able to have hard discussions in the community.
It's not you know that we've been very transparent here, and I think this is just going around in circles. Why is it that you take it or leave it? Just take it.
Have transparent and honest conversations.
Cleo, we've been transparent. It's transparent. I just can't. I can't. If anybody has anything personal against Jake, I can't help it. I'm sorry, because that's what it sounds to me.
Personal against him.
Well, the facts are there. Take it or leave it. You don't have to participate. It's as simple as that. I'm sorry, and I have to get to this point now where it's unfair on the rest of the community keeping them here. This is 2-hour mark here. Anyone who thinks about it, you look at it, it's transparent. There are risks everywhere. There are risks with all projects. There are risks with operating. You decide.
Bro.
It's either you participate or you don't participate. There are thousands of projects in the ecosystem.
So many people are not participating.
Fine. Listen. Well, let's just give the facts as they are and leave it at that.
Just imagine if he'd got. Just imagine if tomorrow he said admin keys renounced.
No, I mean,
imagine what would happen to TitanX. It would go through the fucking moon. Just imagine that, dude.
Okay. Cleo, we're gonna have to leave it at that. We're not going anywhere. Listen, but I'm gonna say, Des.
Can we just move on?
Des, yes. Can you please? Yeah.
This is going nowhere, going in circles. There's nothing that's going to happen to the TitanX or the ETH except it's going to go into TitanX. That is the only thing he can do with it. I don't know where a house came in with millions of dollars. There is only one way that ETH goes. It goes into TitanX. Not
on a day.
So Cleo, we all know Cleo that he's always this is Cleo. So for those of you who don't know Cleo, this is Cleo. So when it comes to Cleo, hold on. When it comes to buy and burn, if Jake increases the buy and burn, the community still needs to trigger it. Somebody
Which he
still needs
will.
to trigger it.
He will
So
increase
we
it
are
on a
not
day.
concerned. It's okay, Cleo. Listen, we are not really particularly concerned about this subject you just brought up. We've talked about it, extensively, and anybody who is in doubt can go look at the codes. If you don't know it, find somebody who can help you look at it. So if you are not comfortable, fine, go participate elsewhere. You don't have to. We are aware of what the code is, so we are not worried about that. So that's all I have to say to that, but I'm just trying to say this just for the new people. Cleo is this way. He's very always controversial, and I like him. But it doesn't mean he's right most of the times. He's not. But when things don't go his way, probably, yeah. But he's a good guy, though, and he's also not a so good guy. But Cleo, we're not worried about this. We've talked about this, and we know what is in the TitanX, and we know how it's gonna work. But I'm not worried, though, just for the new people.
Thank you. Desk, I'm sorry to interrupt you and everyone here. You guys know for sure. I mean, I seldom use the mute function here at all. And for full disclosure, I had to mute Cleo and really remove him. And I'm sorry, really, I had to do that. Cleo, anytime I'm prepared to have discussions with this. Absolutely, but it's really unfair on the rest of the community to keep dragging to bring up a conversation that has been settled months ago. To what end? And I allowed it. And I allowed it because, of course, we're here and we want to have open discussions. But to say Jake has admin keys or that TitanX has admin keys and not accept that you're wrong on that point, and then move on to start. All I hear here is someone who, it's a level of, it's a narrative, and it doesn't matter whether that narrative is factual or not. And that seems to be really, for me, I think that is really where we part ways. In any case, I want to let everyone know here, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. This is a very open, house, and we're open floor. You can ask any questions. There's nothing really there. There's nothing to hide here. You go onto the TitanX website. You can see what we're talking about, the buy and burn pool. I had to help Cleo on this to let him know, okay, you're talking about the V1 pool, because I knew exactly what he was talking about. But he was talking about admin keys. If one had heard, one would think, oh, he has, Jake has the admin keys for this and he can go. No, what he's actually talking about is V1. What Cleo talking about is actually V1 pool, buy and burn pool. And there are actually two pools. And even when I led him along that, he didn't even have, he would have said, I'm sorry, okay, fine, I understand. Is this what you could see? It's just a narrative that he has. Oh, Jake has admin keys. You're wrong completely. And this issue about the pools have been settled. V1, V2, V1, nothing new goes into it in terms of funds. V2 is where all the new funds go in, and that is controlled by the community. That was agreed. Both are manual, and we're aware of that. And again, just what as Desk has said, listen, there are thousands of community projects in the ecosystem, crypto ecosystem. If one looks at this and thinks, okay, it's not for them, they can move on. But I can say, from my perspective, you will struggle to find a community like this within the entire ecosystem, the entire crypto ecosystem. You will also struggle to find projects that put their community first, that don't have any pre-allocation of tokens, that don't have any sacrifice or IDOs or ICOs. And so Jake funded this out of pocket. And we're aware of that. But of course, it is a community project. When you look at Helios was funded out of pocket. When you look at Blaze, all of these projects out of pocket of the the founders. You can't find that on the scale that you find it here in the TitanX ecosystem. TitanX is trying, and the entire ecosystem is trying to remove all the bad behavior that we're all too aware of and accustomed to. We can't lose sight of that. That is the ethos of TitanX, and that is what we're about, full stop. If someone comes in and says, okay, fine, you know, I have different principles, I want to go elsewhere, fine, you go elsewhere. We've spent the last hour here talking about a project that refunded, that went wrong and refunded, you know, or made whole or almost whole its participants. It was, that project belongs, that project actually is, you know, launched within the TitanX ecosystem. We put the community first is what I'm talking about here. There is, and we, you know, again, it's an open, very transparent here. I got to emphasize that for those who are new. And you know what? Again, if this is not for anyone, then, you know, we understand. And we'll carry on. I'm sorry about that. We're gonna have to carry on. We're gonna look at ending at the half-an-hour mark. So in about 20 minutes. Thanks to everyone for attending. You're the ones who make this community what it is.
Cleo is going to run a space with the DBZen team to talk about TitanX, dude.
Cleo is only coming here to come and
Cleo,
see DBZen.
In a couple of hours, Cleo
Yes.
will be holding a TitanX website, a TitanX space with the DBZen team. You're all welcome
and
to come along.
Hexy.
If you want to, yes.
Is that Hexy? Is that you?
Yes.
That's you. Okay, fine. You can do that. But you know what? Let's you know, someone else now. Let someone else talk, please.
Come along to Cleo's space.
Okay.
He's gonna have a space with DBZen team to talk about TitanX.
You've made your
welcome.
Okay.
Come on
Okay.
and
No
listen
problem.
for yourself.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. So let me get. Let's see.
Hey.
Yeah.
Just one note. Sorry about that, Plan A.
Please.
Just one reminder note for those, like, where have you been? Which projects or community have you been to, and a project launched and it failed, and the people who participated got their money back, got whatever the initial they put in there, almost everything back. Where? I have not been to anyone except on TitanX community. If that doesn't tell you something, I don't know what else to tell you.
Okay, great. I mean, thank you, Dex. I mean, you know, support Mo. Go ahead.
Yes. Oh, Mofo or Mo?
It's Mo. The Mo.
All I want to add is, you guys know me. I love this community. Don't let my emotion and maybe my emotion kickstart this whole space into a real emotional kind of a space. Don't let that distract anyone or make any that I don't support this thing 100%. This is an awesome community, and Plan A has a very good point. We are getting emotional about a project that refunded 99% back. So let's all remember that. Like, for as bad as it did go, it didn't go very bad. You know, the idea is much worse than what actually happened. Now, my emotion is definitely anchored to the idea of wanting to get to the bottom of it, but nothing more than that. I don't support anything that Cleo said whatsoever. That is 100% what that guy does. And I don't want my emotion that started this whole thing to just ramp this whole thing into a shit show. So I apologize for getting so ramped up in the beginning. It's a little bit my fault. And if that's what led Cleo to coming in and starting his shit, then damn it, my bad. But I love you guys. This is an awesome community. And we can all see who's here for us. Like, there's a lot of people here that are all for us, and you can spot those people. So I would just suggest that please listen to those people and please follow these projects that are actually about the community. And again, they did refund 97 or 99%. So thank you for that. And hats off to them to fixing what shouldn't have happened, but it happened and they fixed it. So hats off to them, and let's collectively allow myself to bring my emotion down and bring everybody else's emotion down, and we can all breathe a sigh of relief and just sort of collectively look at each other and shake each other's hands and pat each other on the back and go, all right, we're moving on.
Mo, we love you, and you know that. And listen, don't blame yourself at all for this. That was the whole purpose of this, session. So, please, I mean, you can't beat yourself up for this at all. Raymond,
I love you guys.
Love you too.
Hey, Plan A. Plan A, can you hear me?
Yes.
What's up, everybody? Very interesting space today based off the events that have happened over the week. I think it was a good conversation y'all had regarding Eros. I'm glad it's, trying to make everybody whole. And I just want to say, I see you and Mike are in here again, and you're doing your thing, Plan A. And Mo, what just happened with Cleo, that guy, he used Eros as a perfect opportunity to create a shitstorm of fear and FUD in our community. And Plan A getting fired up, and that's wrong. And I want you to just, at the end of the night, wherever you are in this world, to just, wipe the dust off your shoulders of who that guy is. He is a nobody, and he is an agitator, and that's it. And he can just talk in circles, and every one of us can block him. We've all been participating, and all I'm going to say is, I know Utah spoke at the beginning, and I wasn't here for it, but we're just going through so much with our audits right now, and functional audits, and upping our audit game, and just everything to make sure that when we launch with no admin keys, it's going to be legit. And that's, we're looking forward to the future of TitanX. Do we think Jake is going to steal TitanX's ETH? Hell no, right? We wouldn't be building on it. But I just want to say, cheers to everybody, and let's just move forward in a positive way. And Mike, eat your steak, and Plan A, you guys chill out and don't get too stressed. And Mo, you didn't start that, dude. And I'll hold it there. So peace out.
Thank you so much, Raymond. So well said. Mofo, over to you.
Yeah, I could piggyback off of Mo. I mean, what can you say about someone? You can't even FUD us. Like, really, over the project, they came up, gave everything back. I mean, could only really FUD a project that took off and you never saw them again. But all respect, hats off. It's nothing to even sweat. It's a learning lesson. I think there's a lot of positive things. I mean, emotions are good. I mean, it's better to be going through all this right now, which is nothing. I mean, that's why we have the shows. We debate, we ask questions. I do feel like that was just kind of intentional FUD and a dog chasing us. So it's not important. The community's healthy. I mean, look at Helios. They're ROI's off the chart, just keeps popping. I mean, couldn't have a more successful project starting right off the rip. I mean, we don't live in a perfect.
Hello, everyone. I don't know if you can hear me. Mofo, I can't hear you.
Yeah,
is it from my?
Can hear you.
Mofo, if you can hear me, I can't hear you, and I think it's not just me. I don't know if you can exit and come back in. Yeah.
Oh, I don't know if you can hear me. Mic's on.
Yes, we can hear you now.
Oh, I don't know. I'm sorry about that.
No problem.
But I was just saying, today is just another educational day. We debate, we learn, ask questions. That's why we're here. That's why our devs show up. I mean, everything's going the right way, positive. You're not going to have a project ever come up and literally, basically, it's like all the respect in the world. Who does that? All the money's back. I mean, really, if it's a break even, there's no loss, so there's no negativity, practically break even. But I mean, we'll just go forward from this day. I mean, it's nothing but a bright future after we get through this second quarter. That's all we got to do is buckle up and ride out this next quarter. And then I think we're going to start seeing the magic happen. And I'll leave the mic open on that. And I hope you all have a good weekend.
Yes, great. Thanks a lot, Mofo. I think, yes, we're going to be rounding up shortly. We've got 10 minutes. Does anybody have anything else to add at all? Please feel free. If not, we're going to start wrapping up now. Great. Okay. I think on that note, I think we'll start wrapping up. Mike, what are your final thoughts?
Yeah, I don't have much for today. I think there was long discussions today. I mean, the week has been tough for sure, but I think at the end of the day, we got the refund of Eros. I think 97 or 98%. I think what Mo suggested, and also I talked to RD. I think it's one of the members of the Eros team, and I am sure that he is going to, I think, come next week and probably talk about this as well, because I think they also are trying to piece everything together to see what exactly has happened. So I think he's definitely going to be there next week to update us what exactly went on. But nevertheless, I'm pleased that it was refunded, all the money. So yeah, that's I think that's very good news. Apart from that, I think the ETH ETF, spot ETF was out, so that's also really great news as well. So we hope that Ethereum will start pumping, and in effect we will also be pumping as well. So thank you for being here, and I'll see you next week then. Yeah, over to Helios if you're still around.
Yeah, sorry, I have lots to add, but I'm still on the road, so I can't really talk clearly. But come by our Telegram and ask any questions. I'm always an open book, always there to have a discussion about all of these things. But yeah, thanks for having me, and I'll see y'all next week.
Excellent. Since we've got Mo, Rainman, Chizzy, and Desk, all have your mics. If you have anything to say before we wrap up, please feel free.
Yeah, there's nothing much for me to say. I just want to say that this was a very healthy discussion, and we needed this to clear the air. And I'm glad that whatever was done, and we learn from there and move on. We all need experience, as we all know that experience is the best teacher in life. You cannot learn if you do not experience it. So I've loved this section today, and I'm looking forward to next week. Thank you, everybody, and have a good one.
Thank you so much, Chizzy and Raymond. I know you've definitely contributed in a big way, but please, yes, any final comments?
Just want to tell everybody have a great week, and keep your head up. Future's looking bright, and stay positive, and don't let fuzzsters like what just happened come in, ruin your investment strategy. All right. So cheers to that. Thanks for giving me the floor for a minute there, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Great. Mofo, I know you came back up. I mean, do you have something? I know before we still have a few minutes, but
yeah, I was just going to put us on some positive notes. I mean, with this ETF approved and ETH going up they're saying over 6K. I mean, I don't know if anyone realizes it. I did the math and crunched it. Right now, that would be, if it was at 6K, literally $22,000 a burn. And then you're doing multiples a day. even if it got tweaked, I did a math equation where it raised up to 3.5 ETH burns with 40 minutes shaved off, and that was freaking over 125,000 a day burn, 126,000. That's the type of numbers we're going to soon be doing. So things are about to get crazy, and don't listen to any shit shows out there, because this is going to be literally the dream when it happens. With that, I'll just leave you with those numbers to think about in the future. I mean, if you feel like it, grab a calculator and start punching them, because ETH's not going to be under $5,000 very long. It's going to be way over it, and it's going to get crazy. And I'm leaving off on that, and I just hope, I thought it was a great show. I mean, I'll just leave it at that, and I'll see you guys next weekend.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mofo. I think I'm just going to continue from where you left off. We know, the ETH ETF approval is just massive news for TitanX. TitanX is a leverage play on Ethereum, and what happens with Ethereum really has a direct impact on TitanX. So we've got the ETH ETFs approved. The trading hasn't yet been approved. That can happen within the next few weeks, or who knows, it may take a couple of months. But whenever that happens, we're definitely going to see some major price movement. We saw what happened with Bitcoin in January when the Bitcoin ETF got approved and trading started or commenced. It went from about 40K or between 30 to 40K. It hit 70K. So we're not far off for some really interesting times ahead. And so I would want to encourage everyone, please understand the TitanX story for yourself. Don't get distracted by any narrative that is not underpinned by facts. And again, if I may just remind us, the ethos, the principles of TitanX here is really, fair crypto, and fair crypto in the sense that our builders take as much risk as participants in their projects take. Our builders, if their projects do very well, get rewarded through a fee mechanism that is inbuilt. And so what you therefore have here is we have incentives aligned correctly. You find that unlike in your ICOs or your sacrifice type projects where your founders will take the funds raised and then pretty much disappear, for them, their success is that they have collected X amount of money from the public. The project, whether the project works or not, or whether it's just very mediocre, they don't care. And then you end up as the community carrying the bag. And that is even best case scenario. Worst case scenario, they just simply steal the funds. People call it rug, but rug in the project, but essentially it's stealing public funds. That's what it is about. We know what happened with Sam Bankman-Fried, and we see what outright theft. We are definitely trying, in our own way, trying to make sure that the bad behavior we've seen within the crypto space is pretty much removed. And these were the principles that inspired us from the beginning. We don't talk so much about this, it doesn't seem, in our more recent sessions. But in the beginning, we used to harp on these principles, and we take it for granted that everyone is on board. But I think we need to remind ourselves, again, no pre-allocation of tokens that can then be dumped on the community, no ICOs. We would need to have alignment of incentives. No ICOs, whatever, sacrifice and so on. As a community, we're building together. And we all know what happened the first 3 months of TitanX. It was fireworks. Now, if we look ahead of us, I think Morpho is really, I mean, he's onto something here. If we can actually just take everything, all the pieces, and look at them together, if we can get through these very boring months, already we're in May, as I mentioned already, you know, going into, you know, the second quarter, finish the second quarter next month. We go into our third quarter, fourth quarter. We look at the milestones there. Really, there is a lot on the horizon. So all I'm trying to say here is, don't be discouraged. Of course, it's not financial advice that one is given. I'd rather that, and I hope that we all can go in and make that effort to understand this protocol for ourselves and what it brings. Because if we do that, these narratives that we sort of heard about here, where someone just comes outright and just says, listen, there's the admin keys, when there's absolutely no admin keys here. Those sort of narratives can just for someone who is not grounded in the facts here, could easily be swayed by it. Anyway, I'm not going to harp on this. I just think it's a point that needs to be made. I think may the TitanX story continue, and let us keep on going from strength to strength. Thank you all for attending. I think Mo wants to say something before we round up. I promise you, after Mo, we'll wrap up. Mo, you got your hand up.
I appreciate it. Yeah, and I'll make this super fast because it's just piggybacking off what you said. I haven't heard FUD in TitanX in months because we're on day 210. What's the point? You want to know why you're hearing FUD right now? Because people want your TitanX. It's getting down to the line. It's going to get really wild soon, and they know it's time to start ramping up that FUD. They want you to dump your shit so they can get it cheap. Just remember that. Why are you hearing that FUD right now? Because we're about to really start going. That's why you're hearing it now. Otherwise, what's the point? 200 days into it to start hearing FUD? That focused, out of nowhere, like, get out of here. That's what that guy does. That lets me know it's getting close, guys. Don't let that guy FUD you out. Don't let specific FUD just get you out of this. We're almost there. Have faith. Hang on. Love you guys. Plan A, you're the man. I appreciate you.
Thanks, Mo. Thank you so much. And on that note, we'll round up. Have a great week ahead, and we'll do it again next week. Take care, everyone, and bye for now.